Even if you've only been watching anime for a short while, you've probably heard at least someone yelling at somebody else that they're an idiot for watching dubs. It's probably one of the longest standing sentiments in the anime community as a whole. Hello everyone, this is the RPG Monger, and I really do wonder, if so many people hate the dubs of anime, what exactly is done so wrong to cause all of this? And more importantly, what can be done to actually make a satisfactory dub? So before I go any further, I just have to address this. To all of you people out there who shame people just because they prefer dubs, come on, really? I hate to break it to you all, but you really are not even nearly significant enough to be telling someone what they should or shouldn't like. If you only want to watch dubs, then you do you. I see no problem with watching what you prefer, and don't get me wrong. Not preferring dubs is fine as well. Hell, for nearly everything, I usually do prefer subs. It all comes down to letting people like what they want to like. But with that all out of the way, point blank, there are quite a few below average dubs out there.
Guess this is as good a time as any. You see, kids, the boy bunny has a thing called a penis, and he puts that into the girl bunny's vagina. The girl bunny then starts acting like she owns that penis. Anyway,
whether it's due to garbage voice acting or poor lip sync, there are quite a few that can really take away from your anime watching experience in general. What you must consider, however, that not too many people think about is just how old the dub really is. Take the old English dub of Akira, for example. It has adequate voice acting, but the lip sync isn't exactly top notch, as you would expect from something of that time. This is the case with a lot of notoriously hated dubs out there. Though even with that, it's 2017. These kinds of sentiments should have for sure died off by now, with the quality of modern dubs being quite good. Well, my friends, it all ends up boiling down to a certain choice group of people. Because believe it or not, in a modern era with better equipment and whatnot, for somebody who would rather watch something in their native language and isn't very fond of subtitles, there are quite a bit of great modern dubs. But unfortunately, when dealing with these kinds of people, they really don't listen to any form of reason and will go around basically hating on everything that doesn't conform to their quote-unquote anime purist ideals. Though looking past that plague on the anime community, I want to go over everything else that lowers the reputation of dubs, whether they be English or not. One is an issue that I feel is very hard to get by, but has had interesting solutions in the past. Jokes. Usually ones that only a Japanese audience would understand, can be particularly difficult to translate over to just about any other culture. This will result in changes to the script, which can sometimes work, but more often than not produce very stupid things. Oh, and it's not only limited to jokes, but sometimes changes to such minuscule things as Japanese foods becoming Western foods. Thankfully, this isn't done anymore, but when the Dark Lord 4 kids used to reign supreme, they would do this kind of thing a lot. For example, and this actually became a bit of a meme due to how idiotic it is, but there is this one scene in the first few episodes of One Piece where a little girl gives Zoro some rice balls, right? Well, just take a look at what 4 kids thought had to be done.
I figured you must be hungry, so I baked you some cookies.
Stop bugging me, little girl. Get lost.
Don't they look good? I made them all by myself.
Once again, thankfully, practices like these are long dead, but I'm sure it contributed to the irrational hate we still see to this day. In actuality, to make a satisfactory dub, it doesn't actually take too much. So how about we go over a few examples of who really did it right? Alright, whether you dislike the anime or not, you have to admit that Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt was made for getting an English dub. With the art style being inspired by Western cartoons such as the Powerpuff Girls, coming from me, someone who for the most part doesn't even bother with the dubs or watches them after watching the subbed version, I honestly prefer the dub of Panty and Stocking. The voice acting is fantastic and it really does fit together quite nicely. Above everything else though, what this dub does that many others neglect sometimes is it still maintains the emotion from the original scenes with the original voice actors. You can watch a joke being made and still laugh in either version you end up watching. king. But looking past panty and stocking, another anime that has a pretty good dub in my opinion would have to be Fooly Cooly, because with how bizarre the anime is, it really is something that they managed to pull off a decent dub. Out of many other things, Fooly Cooly is also a parody anime, with quite a few references that could have easily been left out due to Western audiences not having that large of a knowledge on anime in general. But they left it in anyways, and that deserves at least some praise if you ask me. And don't forget, dubbing over comedic scenes well is only half the battle. Making a good dub for more serious and emotional scenes is just as, if not more important in comparison, as the talent required there is far greater. And while admittedly I haven't seen too many dubs in the years that I've been watching anime, yet another show that definitely did everything right in terms of dubbing is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, with an anime that focuses quite a bit on the drama side of the spectrum, with oodles of scenes packed full of feels. As I said before, replicating that feeling with a dub is quite the difficult task, if not the most challenging obstacle in replicating the feel of the original. Though when I was rewatching the anime dubbed after I saw it subtitled, the anime still got me to feel the same emotions I felt when I watched it in Japanese. And keep in mind that all of these dubs I listed are relatively new, only bolstering the fact that for the most part, and I'll go into that soon, modern anime dubbing has improved greatly, to the point where we actually have simuldubbing for some series now, whereas only a few years ago, dubs would take forever to come out. Oh, and before I go into the one modern example of a bad dub that I've seen personally, I just have to give a quick shout out to a scene from part 2 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because while nothing can ever top that hot spicy English, the way they translated this one scene is a great example of taking something that can't be directly translated and still keeping it with the personality of the character saying it.
Nani? Nice, nice! Very nice, Shiza-chan! What was that?
Nice, nice! Real outstanding work, Caesarino!
I'm not even joking, I can't decide which one I like more. But anyways, that aside, the one modern anime I've seen that has a dub that just isn't the best is Chunibyo, because I guess it's just my opinion, along with everything else I say here, but I feel the English voice actors just did not fit their respective characters like the Japanese voice actors did. Not to mention the lip sync is off, which is an extreme rarity these days. Like, for instance, in a scene where the protagonist was remembering his past delusions, his self in the delusion had a deeper voice as it would in a, you know, delusion. Then however, in the English dub, they didn't even try to replicate the scene in that way, and instead had his voice in the same tone all the way through. And I know what you're gonna say, well, if you don't like the dub, then don't watch it. And on normal terms, I'd agree with you, but when going over a broad topic like this, you really do have to look at all aspects, good and bad. So with all of it said and done, the underlying reason why dubs are still so hated in the community, with people insulting others who prefer them, is a simple case of your typical bandwagon, as most of the reasons people will give out are only relevant to anime from the 90s and 80s. Though maybe you just feel that the original voice actors suit the anime better. Well, if you do, that's fine. On that end of the spectrum, it all comes down to opinion, and with some choice exceptions, I honestly agree. And to all of you elitists out there, if you're still watching and this hasn't done anything to at least get rid of that awful close-mindedness, then there's nothing more I can say to you, and it's an honest shame that you and many others choose to be that way. How much do you want to bet I'll be getting people who don't even watch the video and only comment on how I'm an idiot for even talking about dubs? Wouldn't be the first time it's happened. But as a final thought, I'll say this. Whether you prefer subs or dubs, at the end of the day, it all comes down to preference. Oh, and a quick question for you all. Do you like how my Moogle faces sideways like it does now? Or would you rather have me redraw it facing forward? You can answer in the poll I have set up in the iCard, but I really do want to know, as I don't want something that minuscule to take away from my videos at all for you guys. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, do subscribe, and today's cool thing of the day is the Dub of Stardust Crusaders that is going to begin airing officially with a new episode weekly starting at the end of the month. Because I don't know about you, but just from the clips and test dubs we've gotten in the past, I'm pretty pumped about this dub, as not only will it give me a reason to rewatch the anime, but from what I've seen, the English voice actors are pretty great, especially with a big name like Matthew Mercer voicing Jotaro. And for those of you who don't know, you've probably already heard him from a certain choice game. Needless to say, I'm pretty hyped. So that being said, I'm the RPG Monger, and don't forget that each and every one of you are fantastic.